මේ අතර කටාන කටුවාපිටිය දේවස්ථානයේ ප්‍රහාරය එල්ල කළ බවට සැකකරන පුද්ගලයා
Tracking a killer. Sky News can reveal the final hours of one of his target, the Zion Church.
Of one of the bombers preparing to commit mass murder.
At the top of the rickshaw gives him a ride. Waiting at suspicion, it pulls away, freshen up, and take a phone call. Praying alone between two plastic chairs. On his back, the same type of rucksack. First suicide bomb, fetching shoes and socks. Again in his orange. He walks to the exit, digging his mobile phone out of his pocket, casually. Stepping over a cordon. In mourning. On, the faces of his infant victims stare out from banners pinned up in mourning. At a church, Muhammad reappeared. Deadly assault. Deborah Haynes, Sky News, Batticaloa in Sri Lanka.
We're following it. Developing situation in Sri Lanka. There are reports of another explosion happening really less than a half hour ago. All this comes as the death toll continues to rise in the bombings that happened on Easter Sunday. Several Americans are said to be among the dead. More than 290 people were killed in the attacks that happened at churches and hotels. Sri Lanka's police say 24 suspects have been arrested in connection with the bombings. Our senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is in Colombo, Sri Lanka. That is the capital. Liz, what do you know about the most recent bombing?
Well, I can tell you it was far too close for comfort. I was on my way down here to talk to you, and suddenly there was an enormous explosion. Our camera crew were caught in flying debris. It was just around the corner, in fact, from here, and I'm standing in front of the first church that was hit yesterday. Witnesses say that the police had spotted a suspicious van, and the bomb squad was called to defuse what they thought was a bomb inside. Indeed, it turned out to be, and it went off without warning. We don't know how many casualties there may have been from that explosion yet, but certainly the army, I saw the army moving in a short time ago. They're really beefing up security here, trying to stop people panicking. You can imagine after yesterday, people are very much on edge.
Liz, we just saw video as you were talking of what appears to be a vehicle exploding. Now, the control room hasn't confirmed. Is the video we just ran, is that what you saw? Is that what your crew recorded, the bomb? Is it detonated?
That is the vehicle. We were around the corner, so those aren't our pictures, but we sure heard the blast. It was enormous. So yes, that's the one. It's, as I said, very close to where, you know, scores of Christian Roman Catholics were killed yesterday in that wonderful landmark church behind me, St. Sebastian's, where the clock in the clock tower is stopped at 8:45, which tells you exactly when the bomb went off.
Wow, stopped at 8:45. Liz, what do you know about the reports that the intelligence agencies in Sri Lanka may have had some type of warning?
The Prime Minister himself said that apparently a senior security official had received word that Sri Lankan churches might come under attack. But it doesn't appear that the politicians were in the loop, or at least they're saying they weren't. And it also doesn't appear that extra measures were taken to protect churches. Now that is going to enrage people who are already frightened when they heard this, have really lost faith in the will, perhaps, of their government to protect them.
You know, there was a decades-long civil war that ended about 10 years ago, and I'm wondering who at this point the government is placing blame on among the 25 or so folks who've already been arrested.
They say that the group that organized yesterday's and today's bombings is a homegrown Islamist extremist group, and they say that all of the men who were sent to carry out the suicide bombings yesterday, 7 of them, were Sri Lankans. But bear in mind, Muslims are a very small community here, about 7% of the population. They've attacked the other religious minority, 6% of the population, and a lot of people are saying that just doesn't make sense in Sri Lanka for a small minority group to pick a fight with another small minority group when there's such a history of interreligious violence in this country. And so some of the analysts are saying if it indeed was an extremist Muslim organization, it had to have had international backing. You know, it was complex, it was coordinated. These fellows came disguised into big 5-star hotels. This was not an amateur operation.
Liz, what are we hearing around you? Is that people singing?
No, when the bomb went off about half an hour ago, as you said, people who had been sheltering at home, afraid, you know, everything's quiet today, schools are closed, but when that bomb went off in this neighborhood where I am, people came rushing into the streets, and they actually mobbed the military who were trying to reach the site of the explosion. Furious, you can tell that people are really on edge. Now there is what you're hearing there is a loudspeaker, and I'm guessing, I'm looking at one of my colleagues here, are they telling people to go home? Yes, they're telling people to clear the streets and go home. That, you know, the preoccupation for the government is that inter-religious fighting doesn't begin, revenge attacks, and then catch fire and become a wave of violence that engulfs this very fragile island.
Liz, thank you so much for your reporting in the context, and please, please be safe.